If you've not yet started training, this is the only video you're going to need to watch in terms of a beginner's guide to going to the gym and making some gains. We're going to cover, training, diet, recovery, supplements, the whole lot. So we'll start with a few basic things first. My first point of advice would be just to actually get into the gym. Like, building muscle, getting in shape is already hard. The last thing you want to do is make it harder by trying to train at home with like push-ups and like a 3-kilo dumbbell. The second thing is that you are going to make mistakes as a beginner. My best advice is to actually make sure you do some research before you train or get a coach. I think whether you get a coach or not, you should do some research. Like, if you don't do any research at all before training, it's like starting a business without a business plan. It's probably going to flop. And if you are thinking of getting a PT or a coach, I think they are very valuable because you're just gonna like minimize the amount of mistakes you do make. And you're just gonna fast track the process so much more if you've got somebody that's actually competent at the job. And that's one thing I wanna say as well, that the fitness industry is absolutely rife with incompetence. So what I would say is that if you're going into the gym asking for a personal trainer, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a bad one. So just make sure, if you are gonna get a coach, make sure to do some research, find out who's good, and go off a few recommendations. Two other things that I wanna mention before I delve into the actual training aspects of things is that you're just gonna have to have some patience and consistency. If I was speaking to my younger self, I'd definitely just say, just don't rush the process, just get in a routine, be consistent at going to the gym, focus on your gym performance, and over time, as long as you're doing all the other right things outside of the gym, you are going to make progress. So don't try and, achieve 7 years worth of results in 1 year just by trying to go to the gym 7 days a week or something stupid like that. And the other thing that I want to mention is the whole motivation thing. So there are going to be days where you don't want to go to the gym, and that's absolutely normal. And if you're relying on motivation just to get to the gym and be consistent, you will fail. So you're just gonna treat it as like a normal part of your day. Like, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you don't think about that. Same with the gym. You just got to be relentless. Try and find what you enjoy doing. That's going to help you be consistent. With all that said, let's get into the training aspects of things. So to improve body composition, whether it's losing fat, building muscle, or body recomposition, simultaneously doing both, then the resistance training should be the foundation of your training. That's what's going to improve your physique the most. So you're probably wondering, how do I split my training up? I've heard some people do an arm day, a leg day, this, that, and the other. If you're a beginner, you don't need to spend a whole day training your legs or a whole day training your shoulders. My advice to a beginner, if it was a new client onboarding with me, I'd work out their availability to train or how often they want to train. Usually I don't get them training more than 4 days a week. 3 to 4 days is more than enough. So either a full body split or an upper lower split. Once you're more advanced, you can do other things. But for this video, if you're a beginner, a full body split or upper lower 3 to 4 times a week will be sufficient. In terms of what training program to follow, if you're new to the gym, you know absolutely jack shit. So don't try and make your own training program up when there's so many others widely available on the internet that are proven to work. So yeah, don't be designing your own stuff, follow something that does work. In terms of sets and reps per muscle group per week, you've probably heard of the figure of 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. And for newer clients that I take on, I get them more towards the higher end of the volume, more towards like 15, maybe 20 sets per week, just because when you're newer to training, you don't have the accuracy with your training yet. You can't deliver enough intensity yet. So to compensate with that, I'd rather them have more opportunities to deliver that with more sets. So typically like 15 to 20 sets per muscle group. In terms of like the rep ranges, I'd go with like anywhere from like 6 to 30 reps is good. But for the most part, I'd be getting a new client work from 10 to 20 reps. The reason for that is just because when you're new to training, what you're trying to do is actually try and feel the muscle work and actually contract the muscles. If we're doing 6 rep sets on a dumbbell bench press, for example, someone new to the gym is just gonna be pressing and they're gonna be shaking around like a shitting dog, and they'll finish the set and feel nothing in the chest. So I'd advise going more towards the higher end of volume, the higher end of reps. Once you become a little bit more advanced, then we can pull back the volume a little bit and put more emphasis on getting the most out of each set. If you're wondering whether to use free weights or machines, any decent program, you should be using a combination of both. What I would say is that if you're newer to training, I'd actually favor more of the machines than the free weights. That could be quite controversial, but because you've got that external stability of the machine, you can then actually focus more on actually contracting the targeted muscle rather than just stabilizing the weight. But like I said, you shouldn't just neglect your free weight movements. Definitely have a few of them in your program. Last thing I want to speak about with training is cardio. So no matter what your goal is, whether it's building muscle, losing body fat, I think it's very important for everyone to do some form of cardiovascular activity, whether that's playing football, run on a treadmill in the gym, whatever it is, your heart's a muscle that needs to be worked too. In terms of using cardio to improve body composition, we'll get into that in a moment when we talk about the diet. With your diet, you need to work out whether you're going to bulk, cut, or go for a bit of body recomposition. For the majority of the population, I actually believe if you just get into training, lift some weights, eat enough protein, you're probably gonna see a decent change in your physique straight away. But to determine what to do, it's pretty simple. If you're really, really skinny, you should bulk. If you're really overweight, then obviously you should cut. And if you're somewhere in between where like you're a bit under muscled, but you still have quite a bit of body fat, my advice to you would be literally just like eat at your maintenance kind of calories, which we'll get into in a minute how to figure that out, and just eat enough protein and your body will recomposite. Is that the right word? You will achieve some body recomposition. So you're probably wondering, how do you figure out your maintenance calories? So it's not like a specific number, it's more of a range. So to work it out, my advice would be just go on the internet, find a calorie calculator, type in like your age, how much you weigh, a few other things, and that will spit out a figure. That's more than likely not going to be that accurate, but it will give you a starting point. So once you've got this figure, eat around that many calories every day. And then what you want to do is weigh yourself every day for 2 weeks, take a weekly average of each one. If your body weight's going down, you're in a deficit. If your body weight's going up, you're in a surplus. And then obviously from that data, you can then plan from there. In terms of your protein intake, 1 gram per pound of body weight will be sufficient. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein will be enough. If you are really overweight, obviously you won't need to eat loads of protein to make up for your body weight. What I'd suggest is having 1 gram of protein per centimeter of height. And you're probably wondering, do you need to actually track calories and macros? I think for like long term, you don't need to, but I think that everybody should go through a phase of actually tracking the calories, tracking the macros, just to educate themselves what each foods do contain. If you don't know what's in food, you are really going to struggle to lose body fat, because you might think you're in a deficit, but you're actually not. And the same for building muscle, you might need to be in a surplus, but if you don't know what's in each food, then you're guessing. You might land somewhere good, you might land somewhere bad. So I definitely say everyone should track calories for at least a brief period. As for recovery, this is really simple, but so many people get it wrong. Probably people get this wrong more than the training and the diet, to be honest. In terms of how much sleep you need, 7 to 9 hours. It will be a little bit different for every individual, but 7 to 9 hours sleep is my recommendation. That's what the literature suggests as well. Taking your rest days as well is so important. Don't be in the gym every day. I don't need to speak about that too much. Just take your rest days. As for supplements, honestly, you don't need them. They are literally there to supplement your diet and not replace things, hence the name supplement. So if you're somebody who doesn't have much fruit, you can't just replace fruit with, I don't know, a vitamin C tablet to make up for the lack of citrus fruits in your diet. That's something I should have mentioned actually in the diet segment of this video, is that you should be eating a lot of fruit and veg, getting your micronutrients in. Make sure the majority of your diet you're eating from whole foods. But in terms of what supplements I'd advise taking, in terms of trying to improve your gym performance, I'd say creatine is going to be number one. It is the most widely researched supplement that is proven to work. It's very cheap. Just take your creatine, 5 grams a day. It's perfect. Whey protein is not like a magic supplement. It's just a convenient way for you to consume more protein. And outside of that, caffeine can help you if you're tired sometimes from life. And in terms of supplements for health, like we could talk about vitamin C, vitamin D, all these different vitamins, but you just got to look at your diet and just think where you could do with some supplementation. Like I said, these supplements aren't a replacement, but for example in the UK, when we're not getting a lot of sunlight in the winter, it could be worth supplementing on some vitamin D. Also to mention, when it comes to tracking progress, what I'd advise anybody to do, no matter the goal, is tracking your gym performance, so how well you're doing in the gym. Also tracking the visual look, so just taking progress photos and also weighing yourself as well is valuable data. If you need a PT in Leicester, I'm here. If you need an online coach, I probably wouldn't advise it unless you're more advanced with training, but I'm here anyway. If you need any help, just drop a question in the comment section. I'll be happy to help. I hope this video was helpful. Drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh yeah, Happy New Year.